Another room that they addressed after the draft, not in the draft, wide receiver room. Diontae Johnson, what are your thoughts there? That's a guy that has had a lot of problems lately, bouncing from team to team to team to team.
Yeah, listen, good player. I kind of got to be careful with this. He had a really good run in the league. I mean, he broke in as a third rounder out of Toledo and established himself in Pittsburgh as a very good football player right away. He came into the league older, and this is a little bit of the cautionary tale of like, hey, we got a guy who came into the league at 24 and he was really good, and you get a 4-year rookie contract, but that second contract comes at 28. And when you give second contracts at 27, 28, you start to approach 30 and you start to maybe lose a bit of that athleticism that made you unique at 24. And then that's where it's a little tricky to navigate the second contract. Whereas you draft a guy who's 21, second contract comes at 24, 25, you can see why teams are certainly, hey, let's draft younger when we can. Now, you want good football players, so you never really mind taking a guy in the third round that produces like that. But that's the situation here. Fell out of favor in Pittsburgh where they drafted George Pickens. He lost a little bit of that solo X receiver volume-based stuff that he really liked, but was still pretty good in 2023. Put up good numbers, good production. It felt like Pittsburgh wanted to take that a different direction with Pickens in 24. Ironically, now they have done that same thing with Pickens going to Dallas in 25. But I think what I noticed about the tape specifically is that he can still get it done. He is a very nuanced route runner, understands the little intricacies that it takes to get open, whether it's an in-breaker or an out-breaker or a double move. He was creating separation. Now, early season Carolina, we can all agree, Bryce Young not playing well. It was a really rough offense. He was better when Andy Dalton got in there and he produced, but then Andy kind of had a little slump and they brought Bryce back. But by that time, the frustrations of his situation became overwhelming. And I think that at the same time, Carolina knew that they could get something for him and shipped him to Baltimore. Where he went to Baltimore, hard to be traded and absorb a new offense, especially one like Baltimore's midseason. He was struggling with that, wasn't getting on the field. It led to a fallout, as we know. I don't know any of the more details behind that, but it led to a fallout that was bad. And then he obviously gets released and picked up late in the year by the Texans, who played him a little bit, but not much. But listen, anytime a guy has 3 teams in a season, your eyebrows are up like, okay, this guy's NFL career is probably over. But the Browns made a low-risk signing. Nothing's really guaranteed here. He can separate and run routes as well as Jerry Jeudy, tell you that. So he can do it. It's just a matter of if the opportunity appeases him and if his attitude is fit to a guy who's now kind of hanging on to the league by a thread, as opposed to a guy who got a second contract and thinks that I should be leading a wide receiver room. You know what I mean? So it's an attitude frame of reference thing for Diontae. I understand the swing, given that there's no liability here, that if they don't like him in any point, really, OTAs, training camp, mini camp, whatever's coming in the next 2 months, they can cut bait. So I understand it. He certainly raises the talent in the room, and you have to keep your fingers crossed that they can find a way to get, Dave, if you tell me, hey, 60 catches, 700 yards, recreating Elijah Moore for very cheap, yeah, I see the pathway there. So I do think, again, given that his attitude is correct and everything kind of works itself out there, he can play well enough to play in the NFL and be a third wide receiver or even a second wide receiver should an injury situation arise or something of the sort, because they still want to develop, Jerry and Cedric and all of that. But I don't mind the swing and I don't mind the depth add there. So I understand the caveats that come with it. You got to hope that they have solved some of the attitude stuff here and then figured out a way to keep him in line. And like I said, if that doesn't happen, the penalty to move on from a player in this regard is very minimal.